Tom Nakano can fly. I am Chris with the Joshi Wrestling Recap for Stardom March 27th, 2022, World Climax Night 2, available on Stardom World. This was the second night of Stardom's special World Climax event. The future of Stardom, High Speed title, Wonder of Stardom White Belt, and the World of Stardom Red Belt were defended on the show, while also having Kairi's first singles match since leaving WWE. It was a packed show, so let's get to it. This was a multi-camera show with English and Japanese commentary. We opened with the future Stardom title match. Current champion Hanan versus challenger Mei Sakurai. Hanan had just defended her title the night before against her younger sister Rina, so would that come into play? Mei Sakurai went on the offensive right away with a boot and forearms to Hanan. Hanan did get some breathing room after hitting a dropkick, but Mei did have a strategy this match. Don't give any space or time to Hanan. For most of the match, Mei Sakurai kept pressure on Hanan, trying to smother her, but Hanan, while much younger than Mei Sakurai, is the more experienced wrestler and maximized any chance that she had. The turning point of the match was when Mei Sakurai climbed to the top corner to hit her elbow drop, but that gave Hanan time to get up and tossed Mei Sakurai down. From then, Hanan had the advantage. After hitting a few moves, Hanan got a famouser and her special bridging suplex, the Hanan special, to land, and got the pinfall victory. The champion retains. The next challenger for the belt then came down to the ring. Hina, who had been away for an extended period of time for school, challenged her older sister for this future title, and Hanan agreed. Because she had been away so long, I don't see Hina winning, and I expect Hanan to stay future champion for a while. My guess is Miyu Amasaki is the one that takes the belt off of her, but that'll be for a while. The really fun Cinderella Rumble was next. I'm not really going to go over the Rumble in great detail, because it is hard to make sense out of the chaos in Rumbles, but I will reiterate it was fun. The participants in the Rumble included Stardom roster members who didn't have matches this show, along with a lot of the younger wrestlers from other promotions, many who had been seen at the Youngblood show in the previous month. I will list the participants in order they came into the ring. We started with Mina Shirakawa and last year's Cinderella Rumble winner, Unagi Sayaka. From the Marvelous promotion, Ai Huzan and Maria came out next. Natsuko Tora was on Japanese commentary for the Rumble, and she is apparently a big fan of Maria. From Stars, Momo Kogo and Sai Ida came out. Oi and Tomoko Inaba from Just Tap Out followed. There was a fun sleeper hold line spot during this part of the match. Nanami and Haruka Umasaki from Diana were next and proceeded to dropkick everyone in the back. Lady C, and who many had as the winner beforehand, Miyu Amasaki, came out. Lady C did a great giant swing on Momo Kogo. Momo Kogo may be the lightest person on the Stardom roster, so she got swung fast. Three members of Odotai came out next, Rina, Hiroaka, and Saki Kashima. Hiroaka proceeded to just shoulder tackle everyone, then hit Miyu Amasaki over the head with her box. The most underdog wrestler in the world, Waka Tsukiyama, came into the ring alone. Then the final two entrants came out, the Chocopo wrestlers, Yuna Mizumori and Mei Sakurai, and they brought their chaotic energy with them in the Rumble. After all the entrants were in, the eliminations started. One by one, wrestlers started getting pinned, submitted, or thrown over the top rope. My favorite eliminations were when Saki Kashima just started pinning wrestlers one after the other with her special Kishikaise pin. Saki pinned Ai Hoizon, Yuna Mizumori, and her fellow Odotai member Rina in quick succession over a period of like 10 seconds. The final two wrestlers in the Rumble were Miyu Amasaki and Mei Sakurai after they eliminated Unagi Sayaka. Mei Sakurai is a more experienced wrestler and made pretty quick work out of pinning Miyu Amasaki and won the Princess Rumble. In a backstage promo, Mei said she wanted something from Mosi Ogawa, the president of Stardom, for winning, and her prize would be revealed later. The third match was very different from the previous Cinderella Rumble. It was another Golden Generation match, this time between Mirai and Utami Hayashishita. The Golden Generation is a group of wrestlers that the president of Stardom, Roshi Ogawa, sees as the future of the company. Those are Saya Ida, Mirai, Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, Maika, and Tameka. Before the match started, Utami Hayashishita and Natsuko Tora had a bit of a confrontation when Utami gave her a rose. Natsuko Tora was injured during her title match against Utami last year, but has been doing more recently, so hopefully her return is soon. As for the match itself, both wrestlers were able to show off their mat work and strength. Utami had control for the early going of the match, but she may have been underestimating Mirai. After Mirai hit Utami with a body slam, she gained the advantage. Mirai was targeting the back of Utami Hayashishita, and it seemed to be working. Utami was able to get some high-impact offense in, but her back was still giving her issues, like when she hit a suplex but couldn't hold the bridge for the pin. The end of the match saw Utami Hayashishita apply a deep sleeper hold, and when Mirai got close to the ropes, Utami slammed her back down in the middle of the ring. Mirai just couldn't escape anymore and had no leverage, so tapped. Utami Hayashishita wins via submission. That is something Utami now has in her arsenal, a submission finisher to take down larger opponents. The next match on the card was a singles match, Momo Watanabe versus Hazuki. Momo Watanabe had just won the Goddess of Stardom tag belt from Hazuki the previous night, and they do have a history of each other from years ago, but they are both in very different situations now. This was a hard-hitting and sometimes vicious fight. Momo Watanabe had no respect for Hazuki throughout the match, and that disrespect did cost her at points. Early in the match, Momo Watanabe threw Hazuki out of the ring, and some Odotai members got in a few kicks and punches in before they made it back into the ring. Momo then taunted and slapped Hazuki. That awakened Hazuki's old Odotai attitude, and the match was pretty back and forth from then on. This match was full of kicks and knees from both wrestlers, but Momo was able to catch Hazuki when she was on the top corner and slammed her back down in the ring. From that point, Momo Watanabe proceeded to hit Hazuki with move after move, finisher followed by finisher, before hitting a wrist capture suplex with the bridge for the pinfall victory. Momo Watanabe came out on top both nights over Hazuki. This feels like something they will come back to later to finish, but Hazuki will need to change something before she can beat the Black Peach, Momo Watanabe. The fifth match on the card was a three-way match for the High Speed Championship. Current champ Azumi versus challenger Natsupoi and Kaguma. In order to challenge for the high-speed title, you need to be fast and usually smaller, but Kaguma breaks that preconception, and she can keep up with anyone, even if she is bigger than the other high-speed wrestlers. You can think of the high-speed division as Stardom's version of the Cruiserweight division in WCW back in the day. This match was fast, and I am having trouble really recapping it. All three of these wrestlers are fast, crisp, and among the best at this style of wrestling. There were many counters and dodging each other's moves and strikes. This match even made its way outside the ring, and Kaguma jumped from the second rope to land on Azumi and Natsupoi. Near the end of the match, it seemed like they were all trying to outdo each other with complicated pins. All three were almost like a ball of arms and legs trying to pin each other before it would get reversed and they were pinned. Azumi drop-kicked Kaguma to get her out of the ring, and was able to pin Natsupoi with her special Azumi Sushi pin for the victory. Azumi defended her belt. After the match, it was revealed who would be the next challenger. As Cinderella Rumble winner, Mei Sakurai came to the ring and challenged for the belt, and Izumi agreed. It looks like Rossy Ogawa gave Mei a prize for winning the Rumble. The next match was one I was really excited for, Starlight Kid vs. Kairi. This was Kairi's first singles match since she left WWE, and she still has it. Both wrestlers came into the match with a plan. Kairi's plan was to hit the insane elbow drop and win, while Starlight Kid's plan was to break Kairi's arm so she can't. I know I say it all the time, but since Starlight Kid joined Odotai, she went up a level. Starlight Kid didn't look intimidated at all during this match, and felt at home playing spoiler to Kairi's return. This match was stiff. That is how I would describe the match. Two wrestlers going out and trying to hurt the other so they can win. Isn't that what wrestling is supposed to be? Starlight Kid tried to apply mind games to rattle Kairi, but didn't seem to have an effect. Throughout the match, Kairi used her experience to escape some sticky situations, and with her new spinning back fist she calls the Cutlass, which is a pretty cool name, to great effect. Starlight Kid, on the other hand, whenever she could, attacked Kairi's arms with kicks and submissions and even just plain pulling and wrenching on it. Starlight Kid may have had a plan coming into the match, but a plan to prevent the other wrestler from winning isn't necessarily a plan that gives you victory. A final spinning back fist from Kairi laid Starlight Kid out, and Kairi got to the top corner, saluted, then hit the insane elbow drop and got the victory. After the match, Starlight Kid was caught between being happy an old friend is back and mad that she lost. She shook Kairi's hand and hugged her, then proceeded to kick Kairi's arm. These two have great chemistry. It hasn't been announced when Kairi will next wrestle, probably the final day of the Cinderella tournament if I had to guess. Prominence versus Julia and Donald Del Mondo was next. This was an 8-women's tag match, and was another page in the Julia vs. Prominence book. Prominence invaded Stardom a few months ago with the purpose of taking out Julia, who they see as a traitor for leaving Ice Ribbon, their previous promotion. Suzu Suzuki took the defection especially hard. The Donald Del Mondo team was Himeka, Maika, Tekla, and Julia. Prominence was Suzu Suzuki, Risa Serra, Akana Fujita, and Mochi Miyagi. This match was a bit unsatisfying to me, and I didn't really understand why I felt that way at first. And it came to me later. It's because the roles in this feud are weird. Prominence is a babyface faction, while Donna Del Mondo are tweeners and Julia is a bit of a heel. But in this story, Prominence are set up as bitter heels with a hint of jealousy that Julia left. Also, there is the fact that Prominence are known for hardcore wrestling, which is something Stardom doesn't do, so Prominence had a hand tied behind their back in this feud. The match itself was fine, but a bit on the short side. The best parts were when Suzu Suzuki and Julia were in the ring against each other. Both these wrestlers just went at each other, lots of forearm slaps and suplexes. Prominence ended up losing the match when Julia pinned Mochi Miyagi after hitting the Glorious Driver. I hope this isn't the end of the feud, and it didn't sound like it was from the promos that Suzu Suzuki and Julia gave after the match. Also, Shuri said in the past she wanted to fight Risa Sera, but that doesn't feel personal. This story seems to be building to a Suzu Suzuki versus Julia singles match, but I don't know when that would happen. Maybe when that match happens, it would be big enough to have a special stipulation. The championship match for the Wonder of Stardom white belt was next. Champion Saya Kamatani versus the person she won the belt off of, Tam Nakano. Much like the match Saya had the night before against Utami Hayashishita, this was a match that Saya wanted to have to prove to herself she was worthy. The match started pretty evenly between both wrestlers, but Tam Nakano used her experience to slowly gain the advantage. At one point, Tam was dominating the match so much that it almost looked like she was disappointed the match was so easy. But Saya Kamatani did what she usually does when the chips are down, and she started taking to the air. A top rope dropkick by Saya Kamatani opened the match up for her, and she was able to start wrestling back control of the match. Both wrestlers started trading high-risk, high-reward moves. Saya Kamatani hit a Frankensteiner from the top corner to the floor outside the ring. And the high point of the match is when Tam Nakano dove from the top of an entrance about 15 feet onto Saya Kamatani on the floor outside. These high impact moves took a lot out of both wrestlers. Back portion of the match saw both Saya Kamatani and Tam Nakano trading forearms, kicks, suplexes, and drivers trying to put the other away. Tam's back was damaged, so she couldn't hold the bridge on a pin, while Saya really wanted to win the match with her Phoenix Splash, and didn't pin Tam when she had the chance, and instead whiffed on a Phoenix Splash. The ending when it happened was sudden. Saya reversed Tam's reversal of her Star Crusher attempt, and got a surprise pin by just falling on Tam. Both competitors were totally spent by the end. Saya Kamatani retained her Wonder of Stardom title, and hopefully these two defenses gave her the self-confidence she has been looking for. That brings us to the main event, Shuri defending her World of Stardom red belt against challenger Mayu Iwatani. Mayu Iwatani and Shuri don't have much history, so there was no personal stakes in this match, but Mayu is the face of Stardom and the last founding member on the roster. Even if there wasn't a story build-up, Mei Iwatani is always a threat. She was champion just 18 months ago. Both these wrestlers went out and put on a great match. Neither had the advantage for long, and they had counters to each other's moves. Shuri and Mei Iwatani used a lot of kicks all throughout the match to great effect. Mei Iwatani may be the best seller in wrestling currently. She really makes you sympathize with her pain. Her selling isn't over the top, it is subtle and always slowly builds. The match really got me. After Mei Iwatani hit a top corner double stomp on Shuri, when she got back up, Mayu lowered her knee pad and removed a bit of athletic tape from her knee. She didn't make a big deal about it. Just in the action of standing up and climbing back to the top, she did this. This small action was the pivot point of the match. After this, when Miyu hit her big moonsaults, she was slow to pin because her knee was hurt. Shuri noticed this and started targeting Miyu's knee. Shuri had Mei Iwatani at one point in a spinning stretch muffler, which is something I have never seen before. Mei Iwatani is the icon of Stardom, and she can really take a beating and always gets back up. Shuri was unloading on Miyu after she kept escaping her suicide attempts, spinning back fists, kicks to the head, side drivers' knees, and finally applying submissions targeting Miyu's knee. Shuri had Mei Iwatani so tied up she couldn't move or escape, but she also refused to submit, so the ref called the match. Shuri retains via ref stoppage. The ending felt a bit odd, ref stoppage, but that does leave the door open for a rematch at a later time since Mei Iwatani wasn't pinned and didn't submit. After the match, Kairi and Saya Kamatani came to the ring to thank the fans and close the show with Shuri. And that was the end of the 2-night Stardom World Climax. Both nights were great, but if you don't have a free day to watch the whole show, I would recommend watching the final 2 title matches, the Cinderella Rumble just because it's so fun, and probably my favorite match of the weekend, Starlight Kid vs. Kairi. I have a nagging feeling that if this was not spread over 2 nights, the title matches would have been better. That's not to say they were bad, but wrestling 2 nights in a row is very demanding. Stardom moves on to the Cinderella tournament over the month of April, which will give us a clearer picture of the next Wonder of Stardom White Belt challenger. The tournament is being spread over 3 days, April 3rd, 17th, and the finals on the 29th. I've Starlight Kid winning in my bracket, while Himeka and Maika seem to be the most conventional picks according to the internet. This has been the Joshi Wrestling Recap for Stardom March 27th, 2022, World Climax Night 2. Thanks for listening.